Midnight news coming to you live from Algiers. I'm your host, Miriam Zian, and here are your top stories for tonight. Zionist occupation forces executed 7 massacres, resulting in 71 dead and 12 injured in the Gaza Strip. Also coming up tonight, Algeria began to ship a second batch of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip in an initiative that reflects Algeria's solidarity with the Palestinian cause. And outgoing President Macky Sall received the President-elect Bassirou Diomaye Faye at the Presidential Palace and discussed the main issues of the state during their meeting. Welcome again to the program. Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza said that the occupation forces committed 7 massacres during the past 24 hours, which led to the death of 71 people and the injury of 12 others. This brings the death toll of the occupation aggression since the 7th of the last October to rise to 32,623 martyrs and 75,092 injured. The Zionist occupation continues its aggression against the Gaza Strip for the 175th day in a row, as occupation aircraft and artillery continued their raids and violent bombardment in various parts of the Gaza Strip, targeting homes, displaced people, and streets. Dozens of Palestinians were martyred and injured between Thursday and Friday in raids launched by the Zionist occupation aircraft in various parts of the Gaza Strip. Local sources reported that at least 22 citizens were killed and others were injured in a bombing of a house south of Khan Younis. Japan is planning to resume funding the United Nations Aid Agency for Palestinian refugees after it had previously suspended it over Zionist claims that some of its staff participated in the Al-Aqsa flood operation. The move comes after a meeting between Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa and UNRWA Chief Philippe Lazzarini. The Zionist occupation army announced on Friday that 61 soldiers had been wounded in battles in the Gaza Strip since last Sunday. This brings the number of wounded among the occupation army to rise to 3,160 officers and soldiers since the start of the genocidal war on Gaza, including 1,523 who were injured during the ground attack. The Al-Qassam Brigades, the military wing of the Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement Hamas, published a video clip on Telegram of what it said was the targeting of a group of occupation soldiers taking cover inside a house with a TBG rocket in the vicinity of Nasser Hospital, west of the city of Khan Younis in the southern Gaza Strip. For its part, the Al-Quds Brigade, the military wing of the Islamic Jihad movement, published scenes of what it said was mortars that struck Israeli occupation vehicles and soldiers in the vicinity of the Al-Shifa medical complex west of Gaza City. The military branch of the Islamic Jihad movement published these scenes. Let's take a look together.
الله أكبر. بسم الله الله أكبر. بسم الله الله أكبر.
45 Palestinian children and 6 Algerians, along with their attendants, arrived at Boufarik Military Airport, west of Algiers, on Thursday evening, coming from Cairo International Airport. 2 medically equipped aircraft belonging to the Algerian Air Force evacuated wounded Palestinian children in order to take care of them at military hospitals and army medical facilities in Algeria, in implementation of the initiative of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. Nabil Khazini has more details.
The Algerian military aircraft, bearing 45 Palestinian and 6 Algerian children, along with their attendants, landed on the Algerian soil last night, coming from Cairo Airport, carrying with it hopes for the best and sadness from the near past. It was here in Boufarik Military Airport that moments of joy were mixed with feeling of intense grief.
The situation in the north of Gaza is catastrophic. People can't find what to eat or what to drink and can't afford a refuge for themselves. I wish that I could receive a call from my family telling me that the war is over. Our departure from Gaza was made easy by Allah. Since the beginning of the war, we took the south of Gaza as a refuge because our home was destroyed.
Algeria promised and kept its word. These children will receive medical care and support at military hospitals and facilities of the Algerian People's National Army. This is just a part of the initiative of the Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune, which aims to take in charge 450 Palestinian children who are wounded and traumatized by the war in Gaza, targeting Palestinian civilians in the Gaza Strip.
This time, we have welcomed these injured, and everything related to taking care of them is guaranteed in Algeria. We are particularly happy about their presence with us. Algeria has and will always stand by Palestine.
All capabilities and means have been mobilized for the success of this humanitarian operation, which will be followed by subsequent evacuation operations for the benefit of other categories of wounded and injured, especially amputees, which clearly expresses Algeria's unconditional solidarity towards the brotherly Palestinian people in its plight.
In a statement delivered on the occasion, the Algerian Minister of Solidarity, Kautar Krikou, stressed that Algerian solidarity with the Palestinian people is innate, stressing the Algerian leadership's continued commitment to standing by the Palestinians in their plight. Let's take a listen.
We are very happy to host these children who suffered a lot. Today, they feel safe in their second home, Algeria. We welcome all our Palestinian brothers. Algeria is a state of peace, stability and security, thank God. Following the instructions of the President of the Republic, today with my colleagues, the Minister of War Veterans and the Minister of Health, we welcome the first group of injured and wounded from the Gaza Strip.
For his part, Palestinian ambassador to Algiers, Faiz Abu Aita, praised Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune's initiative or decision to accept injured Palestinians for medical treatment in Algeria. Let's take a listen.
الجزائر اليوم تفتح.
Today, Algeria is opening its arms to welcome injured Palestinians and provide them with all the necessary services as part of its commitment to supporting the Palestinian cause. About 50 injured, along with their attendants. And I believe this is one of the repatriations that will come to Algeria for treatment. There will be other repatriations over the few coming days, according to the information we have. We thank the Algerian state for all what it did and all what it is doing to provide the best care to our injured, our sons who came from Palestine.
Algeria began on Friday to ship a second batch of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip as part of the airlift that was launched during the past few days. In a statement issued on the sidelines of the shipping operation, the head of the Algerian Red Crescent, Ibtissam Hamlaoui, said that the second batch of aid is estimated at more than 160 tons and will be sent via an airlift of military aircrafts belonging to the Algerian Air Force, departing from the military airbase in Boufarik, west of Algiers, towards Al Arish airport in Egypt. Hamlaoui also confirmed that the Algerian Red Crescent is in permanent contact with its Palestinian and Egyptian counterparts to determine the needs and the way they reach the Gaza Strip.
اليوم بأوامر من السيد رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات المسلحة وزير الدفاع الوطني.
Following the instructions of the President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense for the extension of the airlift and the intensification of aid delivery to our brothers in Gaza, you may have noticed that yesterday we received the injured, and today in the same respect and with all the efforts made by the Algerian diplomacy and the efforts made by the military healthcare services to look after the injured, the Algerian Red Crescent, along with the Algerian Air Forces, provides more humanitarian aid and more food supplies to the brothers in Gaza via the Al Arish airport. The amount of aid is estimated today at 162 tons, and the total amount of this airlift we have launched since 3 or 4 days has reached 310 tons of aid that will reach the Al Arish airport.
At dawn on Friday, Zionist airstrike targeted several areas in the outskirts of Aleppo, resulting in casualties among civilians and military personnel. According to the Syrian news agency, the attack originating from the southeast direction of Ithria inflicted both human and material losses. A lethal incident occurred in southern Lebanon with a Zionist drone bombed a car traveling on the road to Al-Bazouriya in the Tyre district. The explosion claimed the life of one person, and civil defense teams work to recover the victims' remains. This attack is part of a series of recent airstrikes by the Zionist occupation in the Lebanese territory, particularly in the south, causing numerous casualties. Rescue teams from the coastal security in Libya managed on Thursday to rescue more than 130 illegal immigrants in the Karabuli area on the western coast of Libya who were on board a boat after receiving a distress call through the main communications room of the Coast Guard. The Ministry of Interior stated that after receiving distress signals, the teams managed to rescue all the immigrants who were on board the boat and took legal measures by referring them to the Anti-Illegal Immigration Agency. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has issued an urgent appeal for $1.4 billion to support over 2 million South Sudanese refugees across 5 African nations and their host communities. Continuing conflict, severe food shortages, insecurity, and climate change have exacerbated humanitarian needs, prompting more people to flee. With South Sudan's refugee crisis persisting as the largest in Africa, urgent international assistance is vital.
Despite the significant strides and laudable efforts made by partners over the past 10 years, this year's Regional Refugee Response Plan builds on the incremental progress achieved. This year's plan emphasizes that with available resources, humanitarian assistance will be paired with investments in the resilience of refugees and their host communities. This approach aims to facilitate long-term solutions. Humanitarian partners will continue to collaborate with host governments and regional bodies to enhance the protection environment for refugees and asylum seekers by improving access to asylum and civil documentation.
Outgoing Senegalese President Macky Sall welcomed the winning candidate of the presidential election, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, at the presidential palace in Dakar. Faye was accompanied by Ousmane Sonko, who was barred from running due to a criminal conviction. Macky Sall's office said that the meeting was characterized by calm and the main issues of the state were discussed at length in addition to arrangements for the inauguration ceremony of Bassirou Diomaye Faye. According to the Senegalese authorities, the Constitutional Council will announce the official and final results of the presidential election in the coming days, with President-elect Faye assuming the position to succeed Macky Sall, whose term ends on the 2nd of April. Amid tensions, China's foreign ministry strongly condemned the United States' imposition of sanctions on advanced Chinese chip-making factories. Spokesperson Li Qian called these unilateral sanctions illegal and urged Washington to cease such actions, emphasizes China's commitment to safeguarding the legitimate rights and interests of its companies.
美方在科技领域 对华封锁限制
The U.S. embargo and restrictions on China in the field of science and technology, and the sanctions and suppression of Chinese enterprises in vain attempt to curb China's development seriously damages the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese enterprises. It seriously violates the principles of market economy, seriously undermines international trade rules, and seriously damages the stability of global industrial chain and supply chain. China has always been resolutely opposed to it.
坚决维护中国企业合法权益
WHO member states agreed to resume negotiations aimed at finalizing a pandemic agreement during 29 April to 10 May after failing to reach an international agreement during the 2 weeks of intensive country-led discussions. The 194 countries meeting at the headquarters of the World Health Organization in Geneva had decided to prepare a binding text to avoid repeating the fatal and costly errors made during the COVID-19 pandemic, which revealed the lack of readiness to tackle a health emergency of such scale. The Director General of the WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said that he is optimistic and still optimistic about reaching an agreement that will be a tool that saves lives and not just a piece of paper. And for more international news, let's follow this report by Hossam Birkan.
Tropical cyclone Gamani wreaked havoc across Madagascar this week, claiming the lives of at least 18 individuals and displacing thousands more, according to the country's disaster management office. Crossing the northeast region on Wednesday and Thursday, the cyclone forced over 20,000 people to flee their homes, with 3 others injured and 4 still missing. A week following the tragic attack, mourners continued to pay tribute by laying flowers and toys outside the concert venue near Moscow, marking the deadliest assault within Russia in 2 decades. During a concert by the Soviet-era rock group Picnic, armed assailants stormed the Crocus City Hall, unleashing gunfire that resulted in the deaths of at least 144 individuals and left 382 wounded, marking the bloodiest attack in Russia since 2004 Beslan school siege. Ongoing gang violence in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, has inflicted severe damage on the country's fragile economy, exacerbating its status as the poorest nation in the Caribbean. A month after heavily armed gangs launched a coordinated assault, the criminal activities have paralyzed crucial infrastructure, hindering the flow of supplies from the capital to cities like Cap Haitien, the country's second largest, despite its access to a port. Search and rescue operations are underway following a devastating bus crash that claimed the lives of 45 people. The bus, carrying worshippers from Botswana to South Africa, plunged off a bridge near Mokopane in South Africa's Limpopo province on Thursday. Authorities, including Limpopo's traffic and road safety officials, are diligently working to recover more bodies from the wreckage, with only 36 victims found so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was it for tonight's edition. If you missed any part of it, you can check it on our social media platforms. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves and bye-bye.